Let me give you another example now at a different kind of level to illustrate some other things about this object. This is our Health Technology Innovation with Limited Resources learning module created by Professor Jenny Amos here at the University of Illinois. And here is the learning module. There's an orientation, there's getting to know our community members, and then Jenny begins a number of things which are actually interestingly different from a traditional lecture. So she's got a bit of text here, but then, look, she speaks for a minute in the middle of the text.
Upon completing this course, students will...
This is at the very beginning, and then she speaks a bit more for another minute.
The term global health really hasn't been around that.
And we scroll down, and there are diagrams, and there are images, and there are videos, and so on and so on. And if we scroll all the way through, this is the second topic in the course. Now, this would normally be a lecture, but you can see this is quite a different artifact. It's sort of like a lecture in that she's delivering a lot of very valuable content, data and ideas and text and whatever, but it's all in this format which is chunked for student interaction. And finally, there's a project where the students design a healthcare technology solution, and this is the rubric with which they're going to peer review each other's work, and then we can start the project. Now, just to show you how this translates into practice, this is her Engineering 298 class. She's done this learning module a number of times. Of course, she can keep modifying it, but each time she uses it, she's reusing a curriculum resource that she's already built. So this is the activity stream of all the things that are happening in this community. Interestingly, some of these students, it's only a small class, are here on the campus, and several of the students are actually in Sierra Leone in West Africa doing the course as if they were here on the campus. And here's an example of one of these chunks of content which has been posted into the activity stream. So you can see there she's put in a piece of video from a local health centre, which are like so. She's put in some videos from Sierra Leone, which she collected. She's got a little bit of audio in there. And here are all the students now beginning to discuss that work that they've been involved in. So you can see it's a very, very dialogical format. At the end of every section, she's prompted dialogue. This is the class discussion, and of course, to join the discussion, I just have to add a comment. But also, importantly, the students are also asked to make updates. They're asked to be knowledge producers, and that's also part of the learning module. They research different things. So this particular student researched hypothermia among newborns. He linked to a website on this. He linked to the World Health Organization. He put in an example of one of these very elaborate, expensive and devices which is not affordable in West Africa. Then all the other students then discuss that. So in other words, the students become people who are a knowledge resource, who are researching things, who are looking things up, who are contributing knowledge and contributing information. And again, you can see this is an intensely social knowledge space, even though it involves this extensive computer mediation. To summarise, we have two different types of pedagogy going on here. In the old classroom environment, which was the environment of knowledge transmission, we had a pedagogy that we call didactic mimetic, right? Didactic means teacher-centred, teacher-telling. The word didactic has a whole lot of heavy loadings on it in English, which it doesn't have, by the way, in other languages so much, but in English it certainly does, which is teacher-centred telling, if you like, teacherliness, and a passivity on the part of the person receiving this. Mimetic means about repetition, about remembering, about getting things right and memory. So what we're trying to illustrate here with the work we're doing in Scholar is what we call reflexive or ergative pedagogy. By reflexive we mean lots of cycles of interaction, and by ergative we mean the focus really is not on thinking, and it's not on what you can show you've thought, it's on what you can do. It's the artifact you can make. So if you like, this is a set of contrasts now between these two types of pedagogies. The old pedagogy is teacher-centred, whereas the new one's learner-centred. The old one, the learner is the knowledge consumer. Now the learner becomes the knowledge producer. We move from knowledge transmission replication to knowledge is discoverable, critical discernment. We move from long-term memory to devices as cognitive prostheses. Remember my phone, remember the internet, right? So there's my phone, there's the internet, that I have these cognitive prostheses where I don't have to remember things, I can look things up. And this is, if you like, a kind of social memory. The apps on my phone are forms of places where I can do immediate calculations which are unequivocally right. I just know I have to do the calculation. I have to know which calculations are appropriate and how they work. Knowledge is fact, correctly executed theorem, definitions. Knowledge is judgment, argumentation, reasoning. We move from a focus on learning which is cognitive, which is essentially what my brain can do, to a focus on knowledge representations or works, which is this ergative notion. We move from a focus on individual minds to social and dialogical minds. We move from long cycles of feedback and feedback which is retrospective and judgmental, in the form of summative assessment, to short cycle feedback, which is prospective and constructive, which we call reflexivity, recursive feedback, formative assessment. And here are a couple of places where Mary Kalantzis and I have been talking at much greater length on these particular subjects.